All right, we will proceed further then. What about our duties and our rights in the light of the law? We have many duties and many rights. God created man a moral being. The very sense of that is we have every moral being, they have responsibilities, duties, rights, privileges. Animals don't have duties, rights and privileges because they are not moral beings. Man is a moral being because moral values, he has moral values, he makes moral judgments. He is held accountable for everything he say, everything he do. He does, he's a moral being. Yes. The personal existence of man necessitates rights and duties. What they are could be understood only from the Bible. What these duties and rights you can understand only properly from the Bible. Of course, does that mean that a non-Christian can never understand what are the rights and duties? They can understand what the rights and the duties only because they are listed in your constitution or here and there, But what are the sources of these things? That's what we need to understand. What are the sources? What are the sources? Why do you say that I have certain rights? When you start examining it, how come the parents say we have certain rights? The children have the duty to honor us. We have the duty to protect you and provide for you. But it's our right that you respect us and obey us. But what's the basis of it? The basis of it is the Word of God. It's God's will. That's what it is. It is God's will that all parents, must love their children, take care of the children, teach their children, protect their children, provide their children. That's parental responsibility. It is God's will. But as opposed to some countries where even parents sacrifice their own children. But is that right? Where did they get that idea from? See, they do it simply because they're totally ignorant about the Bible. They're totally ignorant about the Bible. They have no idea about man being a moral being, that the child born is a moral being, the child is born with rights and duties. The age and the lack of development of their, neurons and this and that, and does not mean that they are not human being. They are. They are. They are as much human being as anybody else. So only those who understand the Bible or accept the Bible, they can properly understand what these duties and the rights are. Bible is the only special revelation of God. The Bible tells us how man will operate in this world, honoring his position of being a creature of God, created in the image of God, and what are his duties and what are his rights. Man's rights and duties cannot be speculated, for they involve God, fellow man, and the universe. It's a triangle. God, man and fellow man, and the universe, So in another sense, towards God there are some duties, towards fellow human beings there are some duties, and even the material world. When God created Adam and Eve, that's very clearly stated. With reference to God, man was to obey him, right? He gave a commandment, thou shalt not. Man was to obey. Man was to believe and operate in faith and obedience. And, the material world, they were said to keep it, protect it, subdue it, have rule over it. Later, when man became a society of human beings, said, love your neighbor. All the law and all the prophets are summarized in that one, love God and love neighbor, and protecting this universe. So all those duties and all those responsibilities and many privileges are there. Unless we understand properly even how man was created, this fact that every man carries the image of God. And as such, he is an image bearer of God. When I see you, I must see you as an image bearer of God. Not as God or something. No, man is never God, but only an image bearer of God. So you as an image bearer of God has certain rights. I must honor it. I have certain responsibilities towards you. I have certain privileges. So the law is there to ensure every individual is able to enjoy the performance of his duties and enjoys the experience of his privileges and all that. Beginning with my own duty to me, to my wife, to my children. That is a small society where the family. So without a conflict and without friction, how smoothly the society could function. The governments are there, the law is there to enable that functioning. If there is no law, the society will break up. We cannot function. So since each human being carries the imago Dei or the image of God, each human being is to be acknowledged and honored as God's special image bearer. That means each one should function without interfering with the other person who equally carries the image of God. The existential freedom of man is to be preserved by the law. The existential freedom. I have the right to exist. I am a being. I exist, therefore I am a being. I have feelings. I have emotions. I have intellect, therefore I think. I have will, therefore I act. My personality should be honored by others, and I should honor your personality. You may not agree with my thinking, but you have the freedom to think your thoughts, and I must respect it. That's where the freedom of expression comes. It should never be at the cost of others, freedom of expression. It should never be to abuse others, but every individual has the existential freedom. Since each human being, has this existential freedom, necessary laws must be enacted and rightly executed to guarantee this freedom. The human rights movement actually are not preserving this existential freedom of man. The human rights movement, they always violate your religious freedom, for example. They always violate. You show one human rights movement that says you have the freedom to serve your God, believe in your God, preach your religion, practice your religion. No. The human rights movements have banned Bible reading and banned prayer in the school, banned this and banned that. Why? Because they have kept the Bible away. When you keep the Bible away, you don't understand what the existential freedom is. This is mistake even some Christians are making, They think the Bible is only for Sunday. Or Bible is only for spiritual matters. Bible is not the guidebook for the education of your children. Bible is not the guidebook for starting your business, for searching a job. Bible is not the guidebook for driving your car. Bible should be a guidebook for driving your car. Some believers are legalists. Therefore, their eye is always on the speedometer. 80 means 80. It's not never 81. They are legalists. They will say, I didn't break any. They are so proud they never broken. Some others are not legalists, but they keep their eyes for the police. That's what. Their eyes are always roaming. Any police, any signs of any police, because their philosophy is the 11th law. 11th commandment, thou shalt not be caught. They operate on that one. But a true Christian is a biblicist, is a moralist. What is it? His eyes are on the street. He is driving to protect people. Speed is not a matter for him. Police is not a matter for him. I will protect the people. The older people crossing, women crossing, children crossing. There's a mud puddle there. I don't want to splash the dirt on the others. So I'm not worried about what speed I am going. I'm worried whether my speed will hurt people. Am I driving at a speed that where, safety, the freedom of the other drivers, the freedom of the passenger pedestrians, the little children, and all those. That's what we should be. We should not be looking at the speedometer all the time. You can be keeping the speed and hitting a person. But you could say that I am not guilty, he crossed, he jumped in front of. No. You should have been looking, even if a man jumps into your front, you should not hurt him. That should be your, because you should say that with my vehicle I never want any person to be hurt. That should be. See, this is that spirit we get only when we read the Bible. Love your neighbor. Otherwise we will be simply matter of obeying the law, preserving my personal rights. I pay the tax, road tax, therefore I have the right to do. The pedestrians are not paying the road tax, so they have no right. Priority should be for me, we can be, our thinking goes like that. So as a good Christian, I must be, obeying the law, because the laws are made to guarantee the smooth functioning of every individual, the enjoyment of their freedom, the enjoyment of their rights, the performance of their duties. That's how we should be. So laws are made for this purpose. So Christian law is closely tied with the human rights and duties. God commands every man to honor his neighbor. So that means the neighbor's existential rights are equally important as my existential rights. I must preserve his existential right as a matter of priority. Because the commandment is not to preserve my existential rights, but love your neighbor. Love your neighbor, that's the commandment. So that's where the emphasis. Love your neighbor as yourself does not mean, it's not encouraging self-love. Some people interpret that. First you love God, second you love yourself, third you love your neighbor. There are not three loves. Jesus summarized it only with the two clauses. When your neighbor loves you, it's easy for you to function. He keeps away from your wife, he keeps away from your children, he keeps away from your property. You don't have to be afraid of him killing you. See, that's why these commandments are given that. You should be able to enjoy your family life. Your neighbor should not be interfering. And you should not be interfering in his neighbor's family life. They should be able to. That's why these laws are given. The sanctity of life, the sanctity of family, the sanctity of property, the sanctity of so many things guaranteed. So laws are made to preserve these things. Laws are made to preserve these things. But people go ahead and violate those things. And laws are made what? Usually laws are made to protect the offender. The interpretation of the law is that. Usually it is stated that if you have a good criminal lawyer and maybe 1 lakh or 2 lakh rupees, you can kill anybody very easily. You can violate any law. The lawyer will defend you. But that's not the purpose of the law. The purpose of the law is to ensure. So, my existential duty, my rights are the existential duties also, towards my neighbor. My existential rights become the existential duties of my neighbor. My neighbor could exist only if I do not kill, I do not commit adultery, I do not steal, I do not lie, I do not lust. Then only my neighbor could exist. And I could exist only if my neighbor does not do those things. If he practices all those things, then when I come from somewhere, my wife is gone, my children are gone, my property are gone, my home is gone. So the laws are made so that the society can exist smoothly. So every law must be honoring the divine will for man's rights and privileges and duties. If biblical concept of existential rights and duties are maintained, then every person will have his or her sphere of free existence. The state need to ensure and provide the sphere of existence. Every person must have the room to move, the room to breathe, the room to work, the room to produce, the room to provide for. There will be a lot of people who does not have those, facilities. So God had given each man 2 hands. We all eat with only 1 hand, but we produce with 2 hands. Every law-abiding Christian is supposed to produce double of his need. One for his neighbor, So everybody. So how much I should produce? Double of my needs. That's how much I should. But Christians are so selfish. We consume everything we produce. And then we go and buy the ration also, even though we are not eligible for it. Is that terrible? The laws must be made to catch Christians who violate that. Yeah, Christians. There are Christians who should get the ration, but there are Christians who should not be taking the ration. They should not. Why should they? All Christians should be proud that I work enough for my needs and enough for the need of another family. It is said that every American produces enough for 4 people in the world. Well, that's good. And every Indian consumes enough for 4 people. No, we should not be. We Indians are known, we Malayalis are known for building palatial houses and things. We never need, we never need. It's only a symbol of our prestige or whatever I want. What prestige is there? Burying your valuable money in the mud, it's a foolishness. Money should be put in circulation, then only you get money. You can build a house that is useful and needful, It should not be too small that you cannot entertain anybody or you cannot have room for guests or anything, but it should be big enough, but it should not be too big that spiders and other wild animals could, take refuge there. If that's the purpose, of course, then it is. It should not. It should never be. Yes. So the biblical concept of existential rights and duties are maintained when every person will honor the laws that are made to preserve the freedom of movement, the freedom of existence. A citizen's freedom of existence should be guaranteed by the government by making laws to provide and to protect those rights of existence. Equal right of citizen is a principle to acknowledge and execute. God-given rights cannot be curtailed by anyone. These rights are called the fundamental rights of life and living. God has given us life and therefore we have the right to live. God brought us into this world and governments need to ensure that life is protected and living is guaranteed. Divine law requires the people, the society, the nation to acknowledge the Creator's will for man to exist meaningfully. Every citizen must have a meaningful life. And the sad thing in India is very few people have meaningful life. Simply eating some food and sleeping is a meaningful life. The meaningful life is when you enjoy your rights and when you fulfill your duties. That's when it's meaningful. What provides satisfaction to a husband? Today I have fulfilled my husband's responsibilities and I enjoyed my husband's privileges. That's when you feel, I'm proud. I have done my duties to my family. I'm happy my family has done their duty to me. No, it's merely existence. It's merely a matter of survival. We just, wives, they must feel that, my life is a fulfilled life because I have been able to do all my duties to my wife and children. And I got all my rights and privileges to be enjoyed. I feel I have a fulfilled life, a meaningful existence. Very few people have meaningful existence. Our children should feel that they have meaningful existence. When? Whatever responsibilities they had, sibling responsibilities and filial responsibilities and whatever was there, they must be able to fulfill it and enjoy it. They must be able to lay down the bed and say that, boy, I have a very fulfilled life, a meaning life. The love of my parents, plenty I have this day. I was respected as a human being by my parents. I was cared for. And I was able to do my duties to my parents. I could love my parents, obey my parents. Even I had a meaningful relationship with my neighbor. So I can say, thank God, I'm a fulfilled person. Let our people grow in that way. Let us say that, Instead of saying, we lay down there, what are we complaining about it? Oh, that supper was not good, it's too much salt, Oh, that neighbor is terrible, their dog is terrible, barking all day, it doesn't even permit, Oh, that child was troubling me all day, baby was crying, I don't know why, this, that, Oh, a bunch of complaints we go. We feel that we are hurt by many ways. We sometimes feel that even God is not doing right to us. Though we don't say that, we feel that, God, you are not doing right to me. No, we should be. Yes. So that a meaningful life, a meaningful, fulfilled life, we must all have. Government must make laws so that every citizen will live meaningfully. We are saved, Christians, we are saved for good works. There should not be a day in our life when we go to sleep without doing some good work. Without doing some good work. But it's true that we don't do good works, Our excuse is we don't have opportunity. Oh, plenty of opportunity. Plenty of opportunity to do good works. You can help some old women to cross the road, some young children. There are poor people, trash collectors and these garbage collectors and all. You give them a good meal a day, someday. The orphanages, you can go to the orphanage and may provide some food there. You can buy some clothes. Christmas is coming, little far away. But you can do. We all buy our gifts for our children for their birthdays. Well, when our wedding anniversary comes, instead of buying a gift for our wife, you buy it. I bought one for my wife also. But we can also do that, give some gifts to somebody else. Yes. Always do some good works. And good works need not to be done only to the poor people. You can do even some good works to the rich people. Why? Because there are many rich people who are sick and who cannot do their thing, and you go there, knock on the door, and maybe very rich, they have plenty of money, but this old Ammachi is there, she cannot move, and say that I have come to ask whether anything I could do to help you. Wash your clothes, clean your house, cook meals for you. Well, but we don't, because we are not born dhobis, to wash somebody's clothes. That thinking is not in our minds. We were not brought up by our parents thinking like that. So, we are in an artificial world. We don't obey the law, we don't see the law, we don't understand the law, we don't understand the will of God and all these things, It's terrible. So what I say, we don't have a meaningful existence. We only have an existence. Man must live meaningfully with dignity and freedom, without anyone stepping on his toes. No one has the right to harm others or harm self. Man cannot waste his life, for life is a stewardship. God has given life to live, and we must live till the appointed day, and our life must be meaningful. At the close of our life, we should be able to say that, Lord, you gave me a life. I have run the race. I have done my duties. I enjoyed my life. I helped others to enjoy their life. As far as I know, all my duties are done. I enjoyed my privileges. My rights I have enjoyed. How many people could honestly say, you don't have to wait at the close of your life, at the end of the day. You ask your wife at the end of the day, do you feel you had a meaningful existence today? Or it was only an existence? It's a meaningful existence. You honestly feel that as a wife you are loved, you are respected, you are cared for? Could you say that as a wife you have done your duty to your husband, your children, honestly? Or was it a lazy day? What was it all about? When you step out of the office, you must feel that I have done my duty for the money they are paying me. Look back and look at the table and see all the files are in the places and you have done your duty. So that's why God said that, gave us the seventh day, for us the first day of the week. What is the meaning of it? In 6 days you shall do all your work. Right? 6 days you shall do all your work. Nothing should be pending. Washing the clothes or doing the homework. Then you shall rest on the first day of the week, worship God and have fellowship and enjoy your life. And I tell you, you cannot finish all your work in 6 days unless you finish all your work in every day. You just cannot do that. So, we need to develop a discipline where we do our duties. Your life is not meaningful unless we do these things. It's not. Our rights and our duties. So every Christian, don't work overtime in your office because you are taking away your wife's time. You're supposed to be at home providing company to your wife, fellowship to your wife and your children. Why should you stay at home? At office extra time? You are appointed there to work 8 hours. You work honestly 8 hours. You can finish all your work in 6 hours. The last 2 hours you could sit there and think about maybe what you're going to do tomorrow and all that. Don't run around, fool around things. So the government should make laws in such a way that every employee must be able to fulfill his duty faithfully. An incentive must be given to employees who finish their work early. That incentive is you can go home peacefully. And any employee who does not finish, they can go home only after finishing their. Every employee must go to his supervisor or his boss and give us certificate saying all the files I have finished, all jobs assigned to me for the day, nothing is pending. Could honestly say that? Wives must be able to say that. I have washed all clothes, I have washed all dishes. It's not saying it's your duty alone to wash clothes, These days that everybody has a washing machine and the husband could also press the button on. I have done whatever you are doing, I have done it. I have done it. Swept the floor, this, that, bathed the children, dressed the children, taught them their homework and everything, and I have done my duty, And say that I have done my duty, I deserve respect. It's my right. It's my right that my husband sit with me and talk to me. You have not done it. Shame on you. You can say that. How many wives are not thinking that way, They think their only right is what? Some wives, of course, feel that if their husbands stay away, that's their privilege. It's a trouble. Everybody wants a husband, but nobody wants a husband. You know that? They want a husband, yes. Marriage must be there, but once they are married, keep away. And the people who work in the Gulf, wives at home, back home, and husbands there, they're very happy. The trouble comes when husband finishes the job there and come home. Then it's terrible. They have to have counseling, they have problems, and because the adjustment, because she was enjoying the free life. Now the man has come asking question, where is this, where is that, where is the passport, where is this? What are you asking? So it's interference. But that should not be. Family life, children. Sometimes children are happy when the father is not there. If the father is going to be, oh, there's great joy. Daddy is coming. Oh, daddy is coming. Why are you scared about daddy? Daddy is a fear for you. They should be happy that daddy is coming. Let's celebrate. Get ready to receive daddy. That should have a relationship should be there. So man's meaningful existence, it not only requires air, water, food, clothing and housing. He needs love and fellowship and understanding and encouragement, an aesthetic environment where you enjoy the nature, the beauty, and the family fellowship and all that thing. And lot of even believers are not having a meaningful existence. The law is given so that everybody in the nation will have a meaningful existence. You don't have to lock your door, if the law is working properly. The law is working properly, all thieves will be inside the bars. There will be counseling programs for the thieves to reform them. But we have to lock not only the doors, sometimes watchman has to be put there and dogs have to be there, because then only you will have a meaningful existence. Well, God never meant it that way. In millennium nobody is going to have even doors for their houses, because that everybody is going to sleep under his fig tree and wine. The climate will be very nice. It will be like
Central AC.
Yeah, Central AC and everything. You don't go inside. You just lay down there in the night comes. Even the animals going to change their nature back to the original. Originally that was way. Lions used to eat grass in the originally, so they go and revert back to eating grass. And snakes are not going to bite people anymore. Okay, Joel? But Joel enjoyed there because he was not only the ICC, he was in the ICCU, intensive care coronary unit, because they are afraid that his heart may stop or something, So he was there, the AC there, and the nurses coming every 5 minutes and asking how you doing, still alive? Yes, meaningful existence. That's very, very important. So let our governments make meaningful existence. Meaningful laws to make this meaningful existence. The homes, parents should make meaningful, laws to make meaningful existence. Should not overload their wives with work they cannot. Should not expect their husbands to do things that they cannot do. Should not overburden their children with unnecessary, some parents insist that you have to have a 90, 100, 100 marks for everything, Recently I heard a joke, by the way, two parents met and said that, hey, my son got 99 marks out of 100. So the other said, what happened to the other 1 mark? Your son got it. So everybody is asking, people to get children. They should all get 100 out of 100. Well, that's very good if they get it. But what are you going to sacrifice to get it? That's also a question. Every child should get 8 hours sleep, right? 8-10 hours sleep, depending upon the age and health. You keeping him awake till 2 o'clock to get that 100? You think he's going to have a meaningful existence? I don't believe. I don't believe that's the way to have a meaningful existence, you know. No nation or government could guarantee a meaningful existence to its citizens unless they acknowledge the sovereign goodness of God. The sovereign goodness of God. Our God who created man is a good God. And He created this world so that He wants man to enjoy life. God does not want man to be a slave to any system. No. Sin has brought in sweat and sufferings and all that. Even in spite of that one, God expects man to have a meaningful existence. You know, unless the government acknowledges a God, how can they do it? Thomas Jefferson, who drafted American Declaration of Independence, said, "Can the liberties of a nation be thought secure when we have removed their only firm basis, a conviction in the minds of the people that these liberties are the gifts of God?" If the government does not ensure that in every mind of its citizen it is written that these liberties you are enjoying, these blessings you are enjoying, it is a gift of God, you cannot have a meaningful existence. You know, that's very true. Very true. Even when you may have a simple food, may not be the food you really like to have, but when you sit before it and you acknowledge the goodness of God in providing this food, when there are many fellow beings who do not have even that one, when you acknowledge that, that's when that food becomes meaningful to you. Lord, thank you, you have given me this food. When there are many children hungry and crying to their parents, "Mummy, I'm hungry." How often we complain about it? This is not good enough, this is not good enough, what is this, what is this, what did you make it? You know, this, take it away. You know, the meaningful enjoyment of a supper, a simple meal, you know. It's true, if God has given you opportunity to go to enjoy a good meal with your wife and children and all your neighbors or friends to a 5-star hotel, do it if you could afford it. Not everybody could afford it. I knew a family, very rich, he's very rich. He had 9 children, all are FRCS doctors in England, all of them. So they all come together once a year. That's their pattern. They all come together for 2 weeks, or, you know, back home. And their mother died, so they take their father, you know, they for a trip here, there, and they go only 5-star hotel. So Dad, come on, we'll have. So Dad said, "You can go and eat from the 5-star hotel, you got a rich father. But I got a poor father, so I will go to this Krishna's hotel and eat katagapi and a vada." He came from a poor home, and by his labor and hard work, he became very rich. You know, he's a very big, successful businessman. He educated all his children. They are all FRC doctors. So he was right there. You got a rich father, you can afford to go. Go ahead, enjoy. But as for me, I'm the son of a poor man. I enjoy going to this poor hotel. The thing is, he is grateful to God, you know, that I have a poor father, I had poor lifestyle, you know, I never had the privilege of going to a 5-star hotel, but my satisfaction, I'm satisfied here. Isn't that more important? That's what more important. It's not where you eat, what you eat, how you eat, that's more important. I have sometimes noticed these boys in the railway tracks and all, you know, beggars, small boys, somebody eat their supper or lunch and throw away, and the rest of it, and they go and they fight with the dog sometimes, open it and they eat it. But have you ever looked at their face? How happy they are, their eyes are wide opened. Wow! They may not be saying God has given it, but they are happy. And for that very reason, those people look very healthy. And our children, mothers from morning are carrying the bottle and this and that and all that, kunyak, thin, you know, this is, they are coming every day down. Because the children find it a burden. Mother is troubling me. Leave me alone. I don't want to eat it. I like to be hungry. So give your children food. When the children come and ask their mommy, can I get milk? They take it meaningfully. Otherwise, half down, half in, then everything out. Of course, I'm not saying that you should not, feed your child or anything, but sometimes we feel that our children don't appreciate food. Food is a burden for them. It's a burden for them. Oh, I have seen even some of my grandchildren, they see their mother bringing with food, they start crying. They start crying. Why? Because I don't want you to force me to eat. Why force children? The meaningful life. There should be some amount of acknowledging the dignity and the goodness of other people. So Thomas Jefferson was right. Unless in the minds of every people there is a conviction that these liberties are the gift of God. These liberties, what they have drafted, in the American Declaration of Independence, the liberty, the freedom to own properties, the freedom for democracy and freedom of religion, freedom of worship and all those things, they are the gift of God. We are living in India. It's a free country. To be honest, I think it's the most free country in the world I have felt. It is. You can do anything that you want to do as long as it is not against the law. Nobody is going to stop you. If you happen to be in Pakistan, you cannot go to the church and worship freely. Here we can do all things. So we should be grateful to God that this is a God-given freedom. We should love our country. We should pray for our country. We should support our country. We should obey all the laws as far as those laws, as much as those laws are in harmony with the law of God. The only time we should question it is when they are against the laws that God has made. The Old Testament government is a classical example of a divinely sanctioned, properly balanced legal system of checks and balances to minimize human abuse, to guarantee meaningful existence. If you really wanted to know what a government is meant to be, go to the Old Testament. Yes. There were abuses because there were bad kings. But when there were good kings who respected the law of God, the Bible and those provisions and ruled accordingly, oh, that was the best government. The laws were all biblically honored and everybody was having a meaningful existence. Yes. Good kings. And we should study that, the Old Testament contains laws and rules and regulations on most any subject, on your marriage, birth of children, family life, property rights, your neighborhood, neighbor's relationship with that one, and the charity, and your relationship with God, your freedom of worship, and everything it touches on. So government should be operating like that. And none of those laws was a burden for the people. It became a burden during the time of Solomon because Solomon wanted to build. And Solomon is the one who is responsible to destroy the nation of Israel. Nehemiah said it. He was a wise man, yet he had to build temples for all pagan wives, not one or two, about 1,000. To satisfy one wife is very difficult. What about 1,000 of them? And do pagans, everybody wants their deity separate and they have their temples and all these things. So Solomon destroyed, he taxed people. So with his death they came to Rehoboam. Your father has made our life terrible. Lessen some of the tax burdens. He listened to his contemporaries, the young people, the young rash blood, unreasonable. They said that, tell them that my father's loins are only as big as my small thumb. I will chastise you with scorpions and with this and that. So what happened? 10 tribes went away. See that? When governments do not rule right, people will come to the bottom of their patience and then they will rebel. This is what we see everywhere. The endurance level of the people, it may vary, but there is always a bottom line when the people come, whether it's taxation, abuse by police, whatever it is, they have an endurance level. When it comes to the bottom, they rebel. So good governments will always pay attention. They will check with people and see whether they are happy, their needs are met, they could have a meaningful existence. When Adam and Eve sinned, God did not prepare a case against them arbitrarily. You will notice that God did not, all-knowing God knew all that happened. But yet how did God came? In preparing the FIR, God called one by one and asked them why they did what they did. Then only He finally made the case and punished. That is the procedure every government has to follow. Every individual must be asked to explain what he has done, why he has done, before preparing the FIR. Then the punishment will be due according to their offense. You watch out, Adam was not given the punishment, Eve was given, Eve was not given the punishment, serpent was given. The punishment varied according to the role they had. Yes, it was. God never cursed man, you know that? Adam or Eve were not cursed. Later the earth was cursed because, of the blood of Abel was there. But God was very good. He never punished more than. That is the exercise of the law. The law should never be abused. The law must always keep in harmony. Our Old Testament said teeth for teeth, eye for an eye. What does that mean? It means that the punishment should never exceed the crime. You cannot take 2 teeth for 1 teeth. So that was the law there. You can never punish a person, more severe than the crime. Of course, for monetary offenses, sometimes fourfold was to be paid. Yes. The parents should not be punished for the crime of the children. The children should not be punished for the crime of the parents. The Old Testament have systematic, legal system, very good legal system, very good procedures, very interesting. Some of those standards were very good. If a dead body was found somewhere, nobody knows who killed. What did they do? They will go to the nearest village, measure the distances, and ask the people, make them just make an oath. We do not know who has committed this. But nobody will be punished. If a person by mistake killed a person, he should run to the city of refuge. There are city of refuge all around. See, the legal system always protected the innocent. There will be provision. But if that man has deliberately, then he will be tried and handed over to the blood relation, who should be at that time execute him. So the legal system was very, very correct. Capital punishment for certain crimes. Adultery, always no divorce. You read through the whole Old Testament, for adultery there is no divorce. It's always capital punishment. Stone them. Because they have encroached upon the most sanctified institution God has established, the family. And when a man or a woman become a partner with another person, this marriage is cancelled basically. There's no more marriage. So that person who is responsible must be stoned to death. They divorce only for fornication. That is, an engaged couple if one of the parties become, morally, guilty, then the other party can divorce. They have never entered into family relationship. The Bible is very clear. The God protects. God protects. Two people are fighting, and one was expecting mother, and as a result of that fight, delivery has taken, but no evil. The baby is safe. Then they should not be charged for, a murder. But if the baby is killed because of that fight, then it's a capital crime. All these provisions are there. It's very interesting, The jurisprudence, basically the jurisprudence, which is the broad principles upon which the laws are made. The jurisprudence come from the Mosaic law. The Roman jurisprudence is the most advanced jurisprudence in the world, and that come from the Mosaic law, basically, the provisions of the Mosaic law. And our governments will be very wise if they follow God's, mandate in these matters. The Biblical Criminal Procedure Court made it absolutely certain that no innocent person should be punished, even if a guilty person escapes. If no evidence could be provided, 2 or 3 witnesses, you should not punish him. Law said that with one witness you cannot punish a person because he may be a false witness. You have to have minimum 2, and they must be cross-examined separately. On cross-examination, if their witness don't agree, then they are false witnesses. Again, Jesus, many witnesses were brought, but on cross-examination, Pilate found none of them agree. So Pilate knew that he was handed over by jealousy. But Pilate wanted to ensure that his office will be there. So he thought about it. He thought it's better to give Jesus for crucifixion than displeasing the Jew, because already dozens of complaints have gone to Rome against Pilate. One more complaint, Pilate was afraid that his job will be lost. So he didn't want it. So the Bible, the Criminal Procedure Code, the way the evidences were taken and all those things. We are living in a time when a good criminal lawyer can make the innocent man guilty and the guilty man innocent. Is it sad? It's sad. After spending 20 years in the jail, then the court find out that he was innocent and this man is let free. No compensation for it. How can they compensate? But he's not fit to live outside. He has nobody. He lost everything. All that he could is look back to the prison and say, thank God, I'm free. No, it can never happen in the biblical criminal system. It could never happen. You read through all. Even look at Achan's case, he was guilty. How carefully each tribe, each family was taken, and then Achan was taken, and then Joshua calls him, son, tell us what you have done. There is no threatening. He was required to present the case, and he said everything. Then people were sent to dig the ground, find out, the evidences, and then they were stoned. Everything is as per the rule. Later years, the Jewish people were misusing, like Isabel, Ahab, how that innocent man, he was executed and his property was taken away. How that innocent person, Stephen, was executed. And how many? With that one, the destruction of the Jewish nation came. For about 2,000 years, from AD 70 to 1948, there was no Jewish nation on earth. The abuses they have done. So what is God saying that? You violate my moral laws, my civil laws, my criminal laws, you will pay dearly for it. You will pay dearly for it. So if our governments will do, honor it, and if we Christians are little more conscious about the importance of the law and obeying the law and what are the nature of the law, what is our duty towards law, why laws are made, what's the basis, foundation of the law, the jurisprudence, what is built upon. I think we should educate our people, in our preaching and teaching we should add some of these things. Instead of preaching always John 3:16, which is my favorite verse, or always preaching on tithing. These are all biblical matters, about government, about ethics, and all these things. I think we, somehow the evangelicals have narrowed down their spiritual life, their church life into just a handful of topics and matters only. If someone stand up and preach on these things on Sunday, everybody say, "Oh, wasted." What was he saying? Law, he said that. I thought we were under grace. Yes, we are under grace. But that's not the law we are talking about. So, next week we'll start discussion on politics. Yeah, it's more interesting, because everything is politics these days. Yes.